Okay, let's move into chapter 10 now. This is the last chapter, and then chapter 11 is about concluding all the thoughts we have been presenting through the book. So this is called Social Change for a Resilient Society. So remember again, resilience here is more broadly defined as staying on a sustainable pathway within our phase space of a minimum on human development index and a maximum on environmental footprint. I like this construct quite I like it quite well. I don't know what I was trying to say. So if I could venture outside my own philosophical assumptions and use the term truth, this is the author talking, not me. I think there is a lot of it in the ancient Chinese proverb saying, unless we change direction, we are likely to end up where we are going. So we are obviously heading straight into increasing emissions, warming, and its impacts. And even though renewables, electric vehicles, efficiencies, and so on are growing, are they growing fast enough to change direction? That's the key question. The first part of this book paints a rather bleak picture of the state of the world, though we have to remember that we have been through rough times in the past, and that the relative death toll in diseases and disaster is lower today than a century ago. This is true. I have said this in many contexts. If you just want to worry about deaths and mortality from climate change, and natural hazards, that tends to be less than 1% of the total deaths pretty much across the globe and in most countries. Largest number of deaths, over 30%, come from cardiovascular diseases. There is a contribution of climate, but much more importantly air pollution, to cardiovascular diseases, but not climate change impacts themselves. However, it is the complex combination of trends that is distressing, obscuring what potential risk scenarios we might have in front of us and limiting the effectiveness of our traditional ways of managing them. So we've been doing things in a certain way. We want to stick to the ways we know, but maybe those ways don't work anymore. So can we change our ways? A safe and sustainable society requires not only capacity development for resilience, especially not since it is the general population that is ultimately affected by, as well as largely affecting, the variations, trends, disturbances, disruptions, or disasters that threaten our preferred development. In other words, a safe and sustainable society requires behaviors, norms, values, and social organizations that are favorable for the resilience of society as a whole. These are not just issues that are constant in space and time, but instead they're highly contextual and continuously reconstructed. And this makes the entire problem a wicked problem, a terminology we used before, where solutions are not obvious and may not even exist in the sense of, tying it up saying we solved something. Sustainability is not something you reach and then you're done. It's a constant practice towards remaining sustainable. So sustained sustainability is a way to think about it. So when you have wicked problems that have no solutions, you have to resolve them, especially in large scales and lots of players, stakeholders. Not everybody's intention is in the same direction or as constructive as it could be, and so on. So chapter 2 presents past fundamental social change, indicating that an equally great transformation such as the Neolithic Revolution and the Industrial Revolution is possible in the future as well. There is no reason to believe that it's not possible. Are we already in the revolution? Maybe. If you keep reading the number of EVs growing, renewable energy deployment, and so on, we are heading there. And the complaint is that we are not moving fast enough. Although this is heartening considering our contemporary sustainability challenges, Chapter 2 also shows us that such fundamental social change is difficult to engineer, as it requires a complex mix of economic, ideological, and political factors, as well as a result that provides some competitive advantage over societies that have not transformed. So it's, you know, winners and losers kind of situations can be created when we say competitive advantage over societies that have not transformed. You don't want societies to go extinct in such a globally connected economy, globally collected information age, and you want to carry everybody forward, and in some ways everybody is dependent on everybody else now, so the entire system is only as resilient as the weakest component or the least resilient of the components. So we have to have a global transformation. However, recent history has seen more rapid changes in the transformation of humankind than ever before, which has been suggested to be linked to the intensification of social networks that can accelerate behavior change, improve organizational efficiency, enhance social change, and improve dissemination and diffusion of the innovations. This is an optimistic view. The pessimistic view is that there is a lot of misinformation, confirmation bias, people congregate into groups which agree with each other, and so on. But the latest research that just appeared in Nature or somewhere says that even though there are a lot of disagreements on social media platforms, people stay engaged, and discontent, disagreement, and cantankerous behaviors do not discourage people from participating and debating. And another article claims that now most of the important discussions are happening on the social media. How that translates into behavioral change or accelerating behavioral change and improving organizational efficiency, enhancing social change, and improving dissemination and diffusion of innovations is not always clear, but you do see a lot of exciting videos and news about innovations being touted, especially when they are commercially motivated. So this is all an evolution that's happening before our eyes, and optimistic view is that this is a good thing. In short, the safety and sustainability of our world requires, again, the safety and sustainability of our world require, again, fundamental social change, and I feel truly inadequate to present any comprehensive account on such vast and complex subject. Nonetheless, since it should be an essential part of any sustainability science approach to issues of risk and resilience for sustainable development, I give it a humble go and ask for your forbearance when describing what social change can entail and prescribing what social change I think might be necessary for a safer and more sustainable world. So now it gets into the author's views on describing social change and also opinionating or opining or prescribing even on what social change the author thinks might be necessary for a safer and more sustainable world. So maybe we'll come back and do that separately, since it's a longish text and we can leave it as one chunk. This is about 8.5 minutes, but you get the idea. So even though we are concluding the book here, we are adding a little bit of summary kind of ideas on synthesizing the sustainability science and saying where we need to go to have a safer and more sustainable world. So maybe sustainability is better defined than safer. What is safer? We can stick to our faith space again and say safer is where nobody falls below the minimum of Human Development Index, and we don't cross as a global humanity. We don't cross the maximum on environmental impacts or environmental footprint, so we stay in this phase space, and any detours from the path to sustainable development will always keep bringing us back to the path, the detours due to new risks or risks that we haven't become resilient against, and so on. So detours will always be inevitable, as we said, because there are always winners and losers at some scale in the system. It is a wicked problem, but if we do it right in terms of social change for safety and sustainable development, sustain the social development, then we will manage to stay on the path. So we'll come back and look at the desired social change that the author prescribes. Okay.